Hello again, it's Kristen with some more creative crafts. I hope you are feeling in an artsy mood today because we have a couple of fun crafts that we're going to do that have to do with our passage from John chapter 3. Now, this passage does include, of course, that ever iconic crux of the Bible verse, John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him will not perish, but have eternal life. So, of course, this being our key centerpiece Christian verse, there are plenty of crafts and things that you can do with it. For example, I recommend some great heart crafts, which always can coincide with Valentine's Day, or crafts of he's got the whole world in his hands. There's a lot of good ones, but we're going to do two today. One of them does have to do with that classic verse. The other craft, though, has to do with the next few verses that follow in John chapter 3, where Jesus talks about how people who are in darkness do not recognize light, but everyone who knows the truth comes to the light. And when we follow the truth, we are in the light. And of course, that light is Jesus himself. So the first craft that we're going to make has to do with light. And it's a hanging window decoration, which can also double as a card of sorts. But you're going to simply need some construction paper, scissors, crayons, markers, coloring utensils, that sort of thing. And then if you wish to hang this, you'll also need a hole punch and some string. So we're going to, for this case, we're going to make a card that has two layers to it. The top layer is going to be dark, and then underneath it, you're going to want a bright or colorful or light sort of a sheet of paper. So we're going to start with this dark one, and on the cover of it, we're going to explain and understand what it is that we're doing here. So we're going to write part of our verse from John 3:21, which is, whoever knows the truth, and then since this is our element of, this is a dark mode here, a dark piece of paper, I'm going to draw some question marks. What is that truth, after all? And you may also add some stickers. I'm going to put a little light bulb on here for a little hint of the truth has to do with light. Whoever knows the truth. Now, on our next page, this is where we're going to have our cross. So you can trace a cross, you can draw a cross. I have one handy here, so I'm going to trace it. And this is going to be the part that, if you wish, you could hang in your window as a little window hanging, or maybe you could hang both of them in your window as a window hanging. Alternatively, if you don't want to do the window hanging part, you could cut your cross out of this dark paper and have it overlay the light one. That's another option. Lots of options here. So we're going to cut our cross out. Now, you can go to town and get creative on this part of your paper, recognizing that your light is shining out of the darkness. And if you decide to put this in your window, the light will shine through your paper as well. Now you can also, if you have some tissue paper or even some wax paper, you can make this kind of a stained glass effect and put something behind here. So here we're going to put the rest of that comment. Actually, let's flip it over so we don't have those drawing marks. Comes to light. And then you can remember Jesus is the light. Now, with the rest of this paper, have fun with giving it some decorations. Maybe you've got some cats who want to participate as well. Maybe you got some stickers, or you can just kind of color some different colors on it. Again, like that stained glass effect. Maybe you've got some glitter if you want to make it another element of light, and throw some little glitter sparklies on there if you're feeling brave, because glitter has a tendency to go anywhere and everywhere, and it does. So here we've got we're kind of contrasting that dark paper with the light elements here. So you've got all kinds of crazy fun colors and lights. And then what you're going to do with this, once all is said and done, again, as usual, we're doing this the time efficient way. Feel free to take all the time you need and make this longer and more elaborate and more drawn out. What you can do with this is you can staple it if you want it to just be like this mysterious card of darkness, light, darkness, light. Or if you wanted to do the hanging in the window variation, you can punch a couple of holes here. And then you can string some yarn or some ribbon across here. And then you can find a spot to hang this up. And you might even want to separate those dark and light pieces of paper, or separate the representation of dark versus light, so that you can hang up the cross here and emphasize the light part. And again, if you don't want to do this dark page in front, you can just do the cross and maybe make that your window hanging stained glass element and put some colors around it and underneath it so the light shines through. You can color with crayon and rub with baby oil. That also makes a fun stained glass. So you have multiple options as far as how you wish to display and create this, but the idea is that you've got the dark light contrast, the image of the cross, and the whole point of it being now the light shines through because Jesus is the light. Now for our next craft, we're going to go back to that John 3:16 verse, that iconic verse of our faith that we see displayed at football games and all sorts of stuff. So you'll need good old paper plates for this, which, by the way, if you wanted to do your hanging window paper or hanging window cross with paper plates, that is of course an option as well. I just didn't want to overburden your paper plate craft ratio, so I did it on paper, but you can do it on a paper plate as well. For this craft, we're going to make a world, and we're going to put a cross on the back to remind us that God so loved the world that he sent his son, as we're learning in John 3:16. So for the first side, you're going to decorate both sides of your paper plate. For the first side of your paper plate, you are going to be making yourself a world. So you can do this in a couple of ways. If you like, you can use crayons and color pencils, markers, whatever, to color blue and green and red and all that fun stuff. Or you can use paper. So I've got blue and green construction paper here, and I'm going to cut a blue circle, and then I'm going to put some green blobs on top of that to make my earth. So here I've got center of my globe. I'm going to glue that part onto my paper plate, and I'm going to surround it with the words of the caption of the verse itself. So I will, if I can wrestle my glue bottle free, start with the ocean, glue that down, then is not going to be scientific and geographic. I'm just going to cut some landform blobs out of my paper here. I'm going to just say that looks kind of like a country. Close enough. This is not to scale whatsoever. I'm not trying to even necessarily do it accurately. So we're just going to make some nice, fun green blobs of land. If you've got some geography whiz kid who wants to make the continents, go for it. But here we go. We're going to glue those on. And then we're going to put, I don't even know what continent that's supposed to be. We're just going for it here. Now, in the center here, this is an option, but we're going to put a little heart in the center. And I'm just going to do it with the green. So in the midst of my country blobs, I have a country blob that looks like a heart. And then on the outside of this, we're going to write our first part of the verse. For God so loved the world, here's our world, such as it is. Then on the other side of this, maybe I should have positioned my heart differently. Oh well. We're going to go with that. On the other side of this, we're going to put our cross. I'm going to put the other half of the verse. That he gave his son. So we can have life. So then on this part, we're going to either draw or glue a cross. Now I have my handy dandy cross from our other craft. We're going to trim it down a little bit so it can fit on my plate. And you can also put your heart on this side of the plate or on both. You can put a heart on each side of the plate because God has a lot of love. So much love that he gave us Jesus. Hooray! So we're going to glue down my cross. And I'm going to draw some more hearts here. Now we can display this by, once again, our good old hole punch trick. And put a little more string on there. And then we have a lovely display of God's love. We have the earth on one side, the world rather, because God so loved the world that he gave his only son. And then you can hang this, you can play with it, you can dangle it, you can use it as a frisbee, however you'd like to do it. Once again, these are ideas to provide a jumping off point for you. By no means do you have to follow them exactly or to the letter. Make it your own, use what resources you have available, embellish it, liven it up, have fun with it. This is just something for you to be able to explore and practice and have fun with your kids while they learn important verses of the Bible and important truths of God's love. So, make some crafts and make some disciples. We're here every week with new children's message ideas, Sunday school lessons on our website, and crafts. So, like, subscribe, comment, join us next time. Have a great week. See ya.